It's been 3 weeks since I decided I wanted to start this channel and try my hand at becoming a professional day trader as somebody who's brand new with no experience in the past. Now, I've had 13 days of trading this far. I haven't been able to trade every single day. There's some days I sat down and I didn't take any trades at all. And there's been some days where, like I said, I just wasn't able to trade the market. Some days where we had great profit and some days where we had some losses. So let's go ahead and do a quick recap here and let's dive into the spreadsheet and see where I'm at after all this time. So back here is when I originally took my very first trades on the 24th and then the 25th and then the 27th. And I didn't actually get all of these days documented. I didn't decide to actually start the channel until July 1st, but this is what we were looking at. So we had some major fluctuations in the position sizes. We were going in with 10,000 shares. And since we've gone ahead and actually reduced the share size, I'm not taking positions that large, just not realistic. I'm not going to be doing that when a real funded account once I get out of the simulator. So I'm not trading with that anymore on this sheet. And you can see all of our beginning trades for the most part were green up until MDWD on the 5th. So our entire first week was completely green, which is incredible. And we had this one major trade in here that got us this huge amount of profit with this big position that was not a position I would have taken with real money. But at the same time, I would have, let me correct that. I would have taken the position. I wouldn't have had this many shares. I think my share size would have probably been a little closer to 500 than 5,000. But at the time, I hadn't thought that this was a bad idea. I figured, well, I'm just looking to see if I can make the right decisions. And that is still part of the process, a very important part of it, and see if I can make decisions that are going to lead to profit. But I've since lowered my position sizes because it's just not realistic, which is why you can see down here with MDWD, we've gotten down with 1,000 shares. Right. And now we had a little bit of a loss on this one. We got in at 2110, got out at 2033, didn't cut our losses very quick, and it resulted in a big loss. Same thing happened down here with SNGX. We had some tech issues, right? This was just a bad slew of days. So we lost some money on Zap, $200. Then the next day on SNGX, we lost 1,050. The next day, we lost 270. And this video that this took place on is going to be right up here in the corner. I was very, very frustrated because we had some hotkey issues. So we're definitely learning and progressing and getting better, and our skill set's increasing as we're going through this process. And then as we continue to move a little bit further, right, you can see that there's gaps in the trading days here. So here we went from the 10th all the way up to the 15th. And that's because I'm not able to trade every day, unfortunately. I have a regular life just like anybody else who's brand new. Not able to come in and sit in front of the market every single day, which I think adds to the realism of this challenge or this experiment that I'm trying to do here. But anyways, moving forward, we're getting better at managing our risk. You can see our loss here is quite a bit smaller than some of the losses we saw up here. And the gains are a little bit smaller too because we're taking profit a little bit faster, but we're seeing more gains and smaller losses, which I think is going to be positive progress without a doubt. And these are the trades that I'm going to talk about today. I have the live trading footage in this video for you to watch. So the 19th was a decent trading day. The 15th was a good trading day. And in between that, we weren't able to trade. There was a couple days I couldn't sit at the market. So day 12 was a day where I took no trades. I sat in the chair. I was watching the charts. I just wasn't feeling it. Decided not to take any positions whatsoever. Then we come back in on the 19th and we decided we were going to clean house, and we did just that. So we took 3 trades on NAAS. All of them entered with 1,000 shares, and then 2 exits on each one. And each one wound up becoming a profit. And even after this initial loss on XXTP, this very low managed loss with a realistic position size, I would say, this one actually could have been a lot bigger. This was only 50 cents a share. Not typically a stock I'm looking to trade, and it resulted in a loss. It didn't fit all the criteria. It's a penny stock. It's under $1 a share. One of my rules is I only trade stocks that are above $5, and I didn't do that here. And see what happened. It resulted in a loss. I had a good entry, and you're going to see that in the recording, but it didn't really result in going the right direction. It didn't behave the way I was predicting it would behave, and as a result, we had a little bit of a loss. Then we had some really killer trades on NAS. I mean, this was like Mike Tyson. I was just punching orders in. And these were quick. I mean, 9:51:04 we got in. By 9:51:11 we were already getting out. This is only a 7-second trade, and then 11 seconds later we got out with the other half of the position. Same thing down here at 9:54. We got in 5 seconds past the minute. Then we sold our first half 5 seconds after that. And then 22 seconds after that, we sold the remainder of the position. I'm going to go ahead and show you all this live footage as a recap today, where we're not going to go through the whole trading session like we normally do because I'm behind on uploading for you guys right now. I want to give you everything and get you caught up today so that way you know exactly where we're at and you can see the transparency behind these trades. But before I do that, I wanted to take a minute just to kind of talk about my strategy. I've never really gone in and explained clearly what my strategy is and what entries I'm looking for and what my buy and sell signals are and what I'm scanning for. So I wanted to take a few minutes just to go ahead and explain that really, really clearly. So that way it makes a little bit more sense why I'm making some of the decisions I'm making when you're watching me take these trades. All right. So when I'm scanning for stocks, first thing I'm looking for is that they're gapping up and it's at least 10% on the day. So I want to see the stocks that are moving. I don't want to see anything that is trending down. I want to see things that are moving upwards because if it's not really moving, then there's might not be any profit to be made. I want something that's going to be, really moving a lot by lots of percentages. Some of this might be this is just a minimum, so they could be 20%, they could be 100%. That part doesn't really matter. I'm really looking for things that are gapping up on the day. So that's the first thing that I'm scanning for is something that's up at least 10%. The next thing I'm looking at is relative volume. So basically that's just how much volume does it have on the average day? I want it to be 3x or more than that. And again, this is just a minimum. Preferably this would be 5x, 10x. I've even seen 50x and 100x if it's a really low volume stock normally. This means there's demand. So supply and demand, right, is really, really important. And when there's a lot of demand for something, just like with anything else, the price is going to go up. If a stock has high relative volume, that means the demand is going to be higher than it normally is. And that could continue to influence, gapping up and the price moving in the direction we want to go because there's high demand. There's more buyers. Next thing I'm looking at is the float or the shares outstanding. So this is the amount of shares that are available to be traded. Now, something that's really, really popular like Meta or Apple is going to have a really, really, really high float. There's a ton of availability. That's a really high supply. But if the float is under 20 million, and again, this is kind of a maximum in this case, preferably it would be 10 million or even 1 million or even less than that. That means there's a very low amount of supply. So if there's not a lot of shares out there in the market and there's a whole lot of buyers coming in and there's a lot of demand, that means we have high demand and low supply, which is something that I'm looking for. That's what we need to make the price, do this, make it go upwards. There's more buyers than there are sellers. So if you have these two things, there's a better likelihood that the stock is going to move in the direction you want. The next thing I'm scanning for is the price. So I like things between $5 and $20 a share because under $5 a share tends to be a little choppy. They get halted a lot. So 50 cent per share stock goes to 60% really quickly. It's going to get halted. And that can be a little bit more difficult to trade. I don't really have a strategy for that. I haven't experienced it enough or traded enough of them. I've had a few, but nothing to where I could say, okay, this is how I'm going to handle the halts every time, or this is what I'm going to look for with a halt. And then after that halt, they tend to just really gap either one way or the other. So you might see a candle close here and then it opens here. And now you've got all this void in between where there's no control over anything. So if you're in here and it decides to gap down to here because of a halt, that's something I'm trying to avoid. The other thing too is position sizing. So with $20 a share, and if I wanted to go with 1,000 shares at $20, that means that's going to be a $20,000 position, which is manageable, right? Now I'm only using a simulator. I don't have real money in an account yet. Like I said, I'm only 3 weeks into this, right? I started this on July 1st. So, but this is a manageable position size. Now, if something's $200 a share, first off, it can't move that much because for this to go up by 10%, right, we're looking at a $20 move. That's a huge, huge move for a stock this size. And it happens, but it's a lot less common than a stock that's $20 going to $22. So we could see those percentage gains without having that much of a move in the actual price. So that's also why I like these lower priced stocks. And then lastly, this doesn't come up in the scan, but I look for it after the fact. These are the things I'm scanning for. I look for a news catalyst, which is basically just a reason or a why. Why is this stock actually moving? And if I can't find a news catalyst, it doesn't necessarily mean I won't trade it. But sometimes I'll trade things that people are talking about in a chat room. Sometimes the news catalyst was a few days ago and it's a continuation, but I like to see some kind of catalyst. So now once we scan and we find a stock, we're probably going to find it right around here. Let's say that this was a 20% move from here to here. So I'm not going to find this stock until it gets right here. So I'm not going to take a position, right here. We're halfway through the move. Who knows how much further it's going to go? We don't have a proper entry there. We have a proper entry down here when it starts to move, but we didn't see it yet. So we can't take the position because we're not looking at the chart. What I'm looking for is the first candle to make a new high on good volume. So here we have much higher volume than we have here, here, and here, right? We got this consolidation. We've got decreasing volume on these red candles. And then it's all of a sudden it starts to shoot up in volume. We make a new high and the price is going up. This is the entry that I'm looking for. And this is the only setup that I'm trading right now because this is the thing that makes the most sense to me. To me, it's the easiest to identify. So I'm running with this. And then once this entry happens, my stop loss is going to be at the bottom of the move. So usually the low of the previous candle. So if this price action this candle starts to go down and we hit this level, we're going to cut losses right here. We're getting out. That's risk management. The other reason I like this position is because this is the high from the previous move. So this gives us a lot of room to go. So if we go from here to here versus here to here, right, we've got a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio in terms of what we can earn potentially versus what we can lose because we're managing our risk. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to hold all the way up to this point. I'm going to sell at my certain take profit targets, which are 15 to 20 cents. So as soon as this moves 20 cents, I'm going to take probably half of it out. And then once we get approaching this high and we hit another profit target, which is another 20 cents or so, maybe a little bit more, we might stretch it a little bit depending on how it's moving. We're going to take maybe another quarter of it out. And now at this point, we've only got 25% of the original position. I'm not adding to a position because something's moving, because if this does decide to just take a dive, I don't want to lose all that profit I just made. I don't want to start giving it back. I want to keep it. So I'm probably realistically going to be out of the position by the time it gets this far. But with this last quarter of the position, I'll probably hang on to it until we see an exit signal. And what that exit signal is going to be is the opposite of our entry. So if this was our entry right here, the break of this previous candle making a new high on good volume, we're going to be looking for a red candle that makes a new low. So right here would be the official exit. Not a take profit, right? So take profit is going to be different from an exit, right? I might not be in the position because I kept taking profit and I was just happy with the trade. But if we don't hit all these, maybe let's say we hit one of them, right? And we take profit just once. As soon as we see this curl down and make a new low, that's our exit. So then at this point, we cut everything out of the position. We quit while we're ahead. And then we just let the price action hopefully form up another entry for us. And then at this point, and clean this up a little bit here. At this point, I'd be looking for another entry. So as we come down, right, in this case, we broke back down. We sold off a little bit to this 9 EMA. That's this blue line here is the 9-minute EMA. We see that same thing again right here. Now here, I might even wait for the break of this. This is technically an entry, but it's on decreasing volume, right? So we don't have, these are bullish bottoming tails here, these wicks at the bottom. So I'm looking at these mean something to me, but they don't mean enter because we have decreasing volume as it's happening. Now, once we get to this one, we've got increasing volume and the candle gets larger and we're starting to move more. I might even wait until this candle here. And then at this point, we've got much higher volume. this is a great entry right here. And then at this point, our stop loss is probably going to be right around here, probably below the 9. And we have enough room to our previous high that we can expect that and predict that this is hopefully going to do that and we're going to make a profit. Now, in this case, we consolidated a little bit, but we're going to respect the stop and we're not going to just dive out of the position because it makes us feel a little uncomfortable. It's not moving really fast. We're going to stay in it and respect the stop, because if we don't and we exit, we end up missing moves like this. So I don't want to miss that. I'm going to respect my stop. And then I'm not going to add anything. We're just going to kind of hang out and watch. We never hit the stop. And then next thing you know, this thing starts making a leg up. And we'd ride this up. And now we'd have a take profit. We'd have a take profit. We'd take profit. Who knows if we have the whole position at this point, right? It depends on how much of a dollar this actually moved. And then we have our exit right here. So here's just a couple other things that I'm looking at in these charts before I even take a position. So if this stock is trending down, I'm not interested. So coming back over here, right? If we look at this side of the move, right? We have the upside over here, and then we look at this side. We have a high here, and then a lower high, and then a lower high. We also have lower lows, lower lows. So that's a descending channel. I'm not looking to trade that. Sure, there's a little bit of profit to be made up in here, but look at how weak. We don't have the volume, right? It's not moving like it was before. We just had a decent sell-off. Now, none of those things by themselves are indications that this stock is gonna just completely fail, but it's not an indication to get in. It's an indication that we're on the backside of the move. Now, the other thing is if it's below the 200 EMA, that's something that I'm watching out for too. So this, like I said before, this is our 200 EMA. And if it's below the 200 EMA, that doesn't mean I'm not going to trade it. It could be something that's been just dying for a long time, and now all of a sudden it's moving up and it's reversing and it's recovering. If we're above the 200 EMA, I'm good. Like I'm happy with that. We'll just trade it. Let's say, for instance, our 200 was right here, and this red line I just drew was our 200 EMA. This trade down here looks good still, right? Because we got first resistance we actually have is this high. So we're not even really worried about that at that point. But once we get beyond that and we start looking at this and we say, well, once we break this high, we're looking at crashing into this moving average. So that could be something to watch out for. That might stop me from taking this position right here. Now, that being said, if we break through that could be a really good sign. So once we start to see this continue to trend up, we make another new high. We have a green candle making a new high, and then we break above this. This could be a good point to look for an entry, and this is where we would take the entry. So we see this little bit of consolidation. In this case, we would have pulled right back to that EMA, treated it as support, as we did over here on the backside of the move. But now we got this candle that makes a new high, so you would want to ride this up. Now, in this case, you'd probably end up taking some profit throughout this for sure, but it's not going to make it much further, right? And you'd get your exit signal right there. So it's not a huge trade if you were to hold the whole thing right through this sweep. So you're getting a little extended, and that's how I might look at it. I might, again, decide to just walk away. But on the other hand, breaking above that EMA is extremely bullish. So I would, on all honesty, probably take that position. And then we would just either exit right here or we'd take all our profit on the way up of this little move. This also, by the way, would probably be a smaller position. This would not be the standard position size with that EMA right here, because we could very well do what this did, and it could be like a false breakout where you might think it's going to go up, right? You could get this consolidation and then see another leg up right here, which would be great. That would be extremely good. But we didn't. We saw a stair step down. We saw a downtrend. So taking that smaller position just kind of hedges you against the risk of this doing one of these, which we see all too often. And now the last big thing is going to be decreasing volume on candles. On green candles, I'm just not trading that whatsoever. If I see that, I'm not taking the position, because it's usually a sign that we're actually going to trend down. It means that there's more selling than buying going on. So if this chart is able to, on decreasing volume, move up, when that volume comes in, there's a good chance it's going to push the price down. Kind of like what happened right here, right? So we have increasing volume on the way up, and this could be perceived as an entry here. I'd have to see the break of this high before I could actually really take this entry. But technically speaking, if we did, it wouldn't have been all bad. We're above these moving averages. We do have the increasing volume. So it doesn't work 100% of the time, right? There's always a chance that we're just predicting the future. There's always a chance that it's not going to work. And we happen to see this big major gap down all in one candle. It probably happened almost instantly. So in this case, you would have lost, right? You would have lost on this trade. But after seeing this, right, we see this major gap down with high volume. Then we see some green candles with tall wicks on both sides, kind of tall. They're indecisive. And we see volume going down, down, little bit of an increase, but down, down. And this is a considerable green candle right here, right? And the volume's still going down. Then we have a red candle on higher volume. This is just stay away, right? We've got this candle has way less volume than this, way less volume than this, and this moved up a little bit. It's not, this is not a buy signal, right? This is a stay away signal because we sold off again, right? We came right back down to below where our entry would have been. So that's my strategy in a nutshell. This is what I'm doing. This is the only setup I'm trading. These are the few indicators I'm using, and these are the few things I'm looking at for entries and exits. I'm totally open to feedback. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing. Nothing I'm saying should be taken as financial advice or trading advice. I cannot help you make money as a day trader. I'm just sharing with you my journey and what I've been doing up till this point. So I'm totally open to feedback. If you want to go to the comments and tell me something I could be doing better or something that's maybe on this chart that I didn't see, that's like a no-brainer entry or a no-brainer exit or a no-brainer like, hey, that's a bad entry. I'm totally open to hearing that. This is what I'm doing right now. So I just wanted to paint a really, really clear picture of the strategy that I'm using as I'm kind of just talking and rambling on while you're watching these live trading replays, because this one's halted up. So we'd have to wait for the halt, probably a little bit of a pullback and then another leg up, which this stock looks like a great stock to be trading today. We're approaching that high of day and we could crash right through that as soon as this halt ends. So this could be actually probably the better thing to watch. There we go. We just resumed and we broke right above. We broke above this high here and we're continuing to move. So let's see if we can get a little bit of a pullback and then another leg up would be nice. But this is how far is up over 100% on the day. Do have a bit of a wall on the ask at about 8:30. Oh, there we go. Never mind. We're going down the other way. Whole lot of orders piling up on the ask for this one. This one we're probably going to see a pretty good push down. But if we can break through this wall, we're going to go back up. But there's really nothing on the bids, so this could plummet right down back to the $6 range. There we go. We just resumed here. That sell wall is thinned out really, really fast. This could be a good spot to get in with a tight stop. Let's ride that momentum up past 8. We're in at 807. Getting 820s, 830s. Looking for another push above 830. Showing maybe a little bit of a pullback happening here. A little micro pullback. Hopefully it's not a big pullback. I think we can push back up. Looking like a little bit of weakness right there, maybe. We'll respect the stop. Stop right now is going to be right below that EMA. Moving back up a little bit to 830. Volume was decreasing on that consolidation. If we get that volume to come back, we should push up. There we go. There we go. Past that psychological level. Let's take it. Very nice. $450 trade right there. So that was a good one. I'm happy with that. We just got halted again. We got in, right? If I pop back into this monitor tab here. So we got in at 807 at 9:48.12. So if we zoom this in, 9:48.12 is going to be right in here. We got in 807 just as this was starting to push up here. And then we saw a little bit of uncertainty. We saw, the push up to 830. We got actually 840 out of that. But we saw some indecision. At 807, our stop was going to be down below this candle. We never saw that. So we stayed in it. We let it. We respected it. We saw the push up to 850, which was well beyond our profit target. So we took it. Yeah, 830 was actually our profit target. But using these market orders, so the spread looked a little bit too wide. So I didn't want to fill for a loss, it worked out in our favor. So that was good. I'm happy with that. If we were to go from right here to 60 and put a stop at 45, that would be 2-1 if it's going to continue this pattern. I drew this trend line here, kind of marking the trend. Now you have these, I don't know, I have a hard time drawing a line with these. And these kind of make me a little nervous because we could really, if we flush down like that, that's going to stop us out. But we do have kind of this channel that we're in. Let's give this a go. I think we're going to push back up. We'll put a stop at 45. This could be, we seem to be holding that. All right, we're in at 52.14 with 1,000 shares long. Our stop is going to be right below this candle here, 47.5-ish. Probably not going to ride this all the way to the profit target. If we can get some profit out of this, I'll take it. There we go. Small move up so far. It's such a small position. At 50 cents with 1,000 shares, we're only $500 into this. Ooh, there's a flush to the downside. We're going to respect the stop. It's a small position. We're going to respect the stop at 47.5. This is not on high volume. Ooh, it really flushed down, but it went so fast I didn't even see it hit it. Got a lot of orders coming in on the ask, but a lot of movement happened here. 47.5. All right. We cut our losses on that. $45 loss on that. Really, really small position. That's okay. If we would have done what we were hoping it was going to do, we would have made it to about a $100 gain. So wasn't really a big trade. NAAS is moving up on light volume, but it looks like we might be getting a move right here. We've got this 200 that we're going to crash into, though. The break of 9 could be nice. This did not hit the scanner, by the way. This is something that's being talked about in the chat group a lot. A lot of people seem to be very optimistic about this. Not that that's a technical indicator of any kind. It's something that's moving a little bit, I suppose. Can we get the break of 9? We got 9. I just don't want to crash into that 200 and then get pushed off of that. There we go. There's the move up. Try to get in on the momentum here. Take a little bit right there. 950, take the rest right there. Okay, we're out. $90 quick scalp, taking advantage of the momentum that was happening there. So now let's see if we can wait for a pullback. So we basically made back our loss and then added to our profit a little bit. This is one that's really risky, though. This one we got to be really, really careful because we could see a flush back down. But we saw what we needed to see for this, right? We saw the volume coming up with the movement up. We saw the new high beyond this 9. We broke through that. Then we broke above that 200. So I felt good that we were going to continue to move at least a little bit while this momentum's here. This might be that little bit of a pullback. Let's see if we're going to pull all the way back to the 200 and then start to take another move up. And we might go to the high of 10. But this 950 level could be something that is something to be careful of. But we've got that crossover. The MACD's wide open. We got the crossover of the moving averages right here. So we kind of had everything we needed. Okay, we might be getting back in here. Let's look for that break of 950. Volume's increasing. There it is. Let's get in. Take a little bit up here. 980. Can we make 10? Let's take it right there. Okay, so we just added a little more to our profit, 205. Again, I didn't want to stay in this long. It looks like we're starting to gap up here. We got good volume, got everything we need. We may very well keep pushing up. We got that wall, that high of day coming up at 10, and we were struggling a little bit to get there, so I'm okay with this. And it's about the size of the move we just saw as well. We've got a considerable amount of volume, and it's only about the size of the move we just saw. We could go for the break of 10. If we see the break of 10, that could be really, really nice. There isn't any kind of real catalyst on this either. This is just something they're talking about in the chat room. So I'm solely relying on just the chart patterns here. I think we're going to break it. Let's try it. Okay, we're in. We're in at 10.10. Not the best place to be in. We gapped up kind of fast. But I think it's got more in it. Let's see what's going to happen here. There we go. Let's take some there. Can we get 10.50? We saw 10.36. Okay, we're forming a little bit of a topping tail. Let's take it out. There we go. Nice quick scalps there. Break of 10 to, I was hoping for 10.50 on that, but we didn't see it. That's okay. I'm good with that. We took three separate trades, 1 entry and 2 exits on each on this move up. I mean, this was, are we going to see another at the break of, well, now we're seeing a red candle. We might be seeing a pullback here. There we go. That's the push back down. It was getting a little extended. Not that I'm an expert on anything that I'm talking about. I really have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just going based on I'm just going based on what I've been kind of picking up on and what kind of things I've been seeing a lot in my studies to make some of these decisions. And again, these are probably some of the quicker positions I've gotten in and out of. I've done a lot of trades that are under a minute long so far, but this is, I'm about 2 weeks into this. So I really have no idea what I'm doing by any stretch, but what I do know is I'm trying to capture the momentum while it's here, and I don't want to overstay my welcome in any of these trades. This worked out pretty good, but I'm good with this. I mean, that's a good in terms of expectations, right? What do I want to make every single day? If you can make $300 a day on average, you're looking at $1,500 a week, 6 grand a month. Multiply that by 52 or by 12. You're looking at what is that, 72,000 a year. That's not a bad stream of income. So that's how I kind of try to look at it. I don't want to sacrifice my long-term earnings goals for short-term earnings goals. Would I like to make $1,000 in a day? Sure, but all I need to make is $400 in a day, and you can make 100 grand a year.